today. I don't even think I'm gonna be long-winded, but God literally just downloads stuff in me. And so I got this download from a previous conversation yesterday, and it just kind of kept replaying in my head. And so, like always, I wanted to be obedient and I wanted to share it with you guys because I think that it will be useful to hear. So today we are taking a break from our soft girl series. However, this can contribute, so who knows? But I want to talk about something so precious to me, something that was actually a huge transition in my faith. And so I'm just going to be really vulnerable with you guys and hoping that it can help you, it gives you some insight, and it will help you to pursue a better relationship with the Lord. So let's get into it. Also, we're doing our first video in the content room. I'm really excited about this. It feels good. I feel great. I added a little throw because, like I said, we're getting cozy, girlies. And I love it. I just want to feel super cozy. I want us to feel at home. I want everybody to feel safe and welcome. So welcome back to the living room of my heart. Let's unpack today. Okay, so today we are talking about purity, but not just purity, purpose in purity. Okay, I had to run and go get my iPad for the few notes that I took, but like I said, my heart is just open with you guys today. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story and how we got here. Purity for me, if I could be very honest with you guys, was something that I feel the Lord always wanted for me. Let me be very clear in that. The Bible is very, very clear about us saving ourselves for marriage, okay? So I don't want you to be like, okay, so is God putting this on your heart and not everybody else's? It's just obedient to save yourself for marriage, right? However, in personal relationships with the Lord, I believe that He knocks on your heart, our personal hearts about things that He really, really wants and desires from us. In obedience, we just shouldn't do the things, and we should stay in the parameters that the Lord has set. But I do believe that each and every one of His children, He pursues their hearts with things that He really needs from them. And so that's what I mean when I say that. I feel as though this is something the Lord put on my heart when I was a little girl and hadn't even started thinking about sex or anything of that nature. But when I started dating in a serious relationship in high school, I was 16, I felt it on my heart, but like a lot of us did or do, we ignore it. And so I was feeding into the temptation, I was feeding into the pressure, and honestly, because of my curiosity, I continued to unlock other chapters in this relationship with my boyfriend at the time. And I had sexual intercourse, and just like our mamas tell us and everything, I was like, oh snap, okay, let's keep this ball rolling, okay? And so I wanted to keep the ball rolling, and not that it was magical, not that it was just amazing or felt great, it was just unlocking a new door in your life, and you're like, okay, if this is where I am now, then this is where I want to be. And so I did that, stayed with him for a couple of years and ended that. And then God knocked on my door again. He was like, boom, 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 boom. And I remember like it was yesterday. He was knocking on my heart, but I was hurt. Coming out of that relationship, I was hurt. And so I was like, okay. But I do want to say that in that relationship, the Lord just kind of started working on me anyway, because at that time I started independently going to church with that person. And then with him, I was like, oh, I like church. I like Jesus. And I grew up in church. I grew up going to Baptist churches. I grew up in that. But when I was 16, I wanted to understand the Lord and create a relationship with the Lord for myself. But of course, I was dabbing in and out. And for what I didn't understand, I made sense of it for myself. And so, like I said, coming out of that relationship, I was going to a homecoming. My friend was going to UT at the time, and she was like, their homecoming was lit, and I'm like, I'm there. Like, I'm fresh out of a relationship. I'm coming to this homecoming. Me and my sister packed up. We drove to UT, and we were turned up. Had the best time. And I met a boy there, and of course, couple weeks or so later, he becomes my boyfriend, and I am such a lover girl. I've always been in a relationship, and that's just how I liked it. I never played around. I never had the little phase. I didn't. I was always wanting to be in a monogamous relationship with somebody, and I didn't know that the first monogamous relationship that I should have had was with the Lord. I was putting these boys in the wrong seats of my life, and they were idols to me. And the reason I can say that so confidently is because although I heard the Lord clearly knocking on my heart and saying, wait, I didn't know why he said that. I hadn't had this conversation with my parents. I really hadn't had this conversation with anybody. He was telling me to wait, and I didn't understand the why, so I disobeyed. I didn't want to follow the Lord's direction under the pretenses of not understanding. But that's not okay, because we have to follow the Lord even when we don't understand. The Bible tells us to lean not to our own understanding. We still have to be obedient, but I didn't want to. And so I still went into sexual relations with this guy. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm grown now. This is what grown feel like, okay? And that's what I did. And I was convicted, but I still did it. And I remember one day, in my apartment with this young man, I would be like wanting to pursue sexual relations or whatever, and he would be like, no. And I'm like, ah. And I remember desiring that instant gratification of what felt like love over experiencing the real, all the time love of the Lord. And in that moment, the Lord arrested me. And we had been together then for maybe 7 months or so. The Lord gave me an ultimatum. The ultimatum, I will never forget it. It was that or me. It wasn't that and me, sometimes me, whatever. It was that, sexual relations, constantly living in that, or a relationship with me. And by then, I was unpacking more and more of my relationship with the Lord. I was coming to understand the Lord better for myself. I was creating a deeper relationship with the Lord for myself. And I was still acting in disobedience, but it was a little bit deeper. My heart was starting to yearn for the Lord. And so he knocked on my door that evening loud. So after the Lord so loudly knocked on my heart, and he gave me this ultimatum, me or that. That being continue to have sex outside of marriage, or me. And I said yes. That day I said yes to the Lord. And what I noticed more than anything, more than my yes, I then realized the importance of the fear of the Lord in my heart. I did not want to act against the Lord. So when I said no, baby, it wasn't no last times. It wasn't no looking back. I didn't say one for the road. I was like, I'm done. And I told him that. And of course, I want to say this because I think it's important. And I know that some women may be going through this. Of course, he wasn't happy. He tried to manipulate his way out of the situation. It was, you want to do this because of this and this. And I just said, you can say no to this, but I'm telling you what I'm going to do. And I think it's so important to realize that I was like, you're not my husband, okay? I have not said I do to you. And so right now, my body is the Lord's and the Lord's alone. It is mine. I do not owe you anything. And I think it's so important for me to say that, because I've heard women say, and I also know that there are women who deal with this, you do not owe him anything. If you want to pursue celibacy, if you want to pursue abstinence, if you want to start over, you do not owe him anything. And if you feel like you owe him something, that means that that man is an idol in your life. And you idolize the relationship and what it can do or bring to you way more than what the Lord can be to you. Who he is to you, what he does for you, and how much he loves you. And I know that may sound heavy, and I know that that may not be the most beautiful thing that you've ever heard. However, it's the most real thing that you will ever hear. I was afraid to be hurt again. I was afraid or whatever of going into a relationship and possibly experiencing this sadness again. But then I realized, and a friend helped me at the time to realize, you won't do that again because you know now where the Lord is seated. And he is at the top and he owns your heart. And so therefore you will not have to worry about allowing certain things to happen, or you won't have to worry about experiencing certain sorrows because you know that love is found in the Lord now. You actually know that. And I'm not saying that breakups and hardships and stuff like that, we won't cry about them, we won't be sad about them. It won't take a couple days to recover. But I do know that we will recover differently because we understand what real love is. We're so full on the bread of Jesus, and we're so fulfilled by drinking the never-ending water of the Lord that we no longer are thirsty for the wrong things or hungry for the wrong things. I promise you, feasting on the Lord, tasting and seeing will change your perspective on relationships and what you allow. Knowing who I was in the Lord, knowing who I am in the Lord, completely shifted everything about how I moved forward. And I am so thankful and grateful for that. I also want to be clear and say that I did not do this perfectly. I was still very immature in my celibacy. I still thought I could cuddle. I still thought I could do all these spending the nights. I still thought immature. And I had to learn through those difficult moments that that is not okay. It's not easy. It's not right for them. And it ain't right for you. Cut it out. And so 4 years prior to meeting my husband and 2 years being with my husband up until marriage, I was celibate. No, that wasn't perfect. I did not have intercourse again, but I still did not walk perfectly in that line. I learned the Lord, and he still had my heart, and everything was different. And I promise you, I know that the ultimatum was so good for me, because what the Lord was really telling me was that you can continue the path that you have made sense of, and I will remove my hand of grace off of your life. Or you can walk with me, imperfectly, but you will be with me, and you will choose me over anything else, and I will be with you. That is exactly how those 6 years felt. It's exactly how they felt. I had moments. I had some silly moments. I didn't do it perfectly, but I knew that I was with the Lord, and it made it so much better. In that ultimatum, the Lord protected me from ruining my purpose. And I knew that in that moment, that purpose was found in my purity. Like, Lord, why this thing? Why is this the thing you knocked in my heart about? And I want to help you with purpose being found in your purity. When I looked up the word purity, it actually shocked me. It says to be free from adulteration or contamination. Freedom from immorality, especially of sexual nature. This is literally just, I didn't say biblically, this is just Google. Its synonyms are virtue, virtuous, and lack of corruption. When we act outside of the parameters that God has set to protect us, we then learn exactly how pertinent it is for us to be obedient. The Lord is gracious and he is loving, but there are parameters to us experiencing the Lord in his fullness. I feel that there are so many women, so many girls today that are looking for love in the wrong places, and we have heard that a million times, but I'm only able to say that because I was that girl. I created an image of what love looked like. I wanted instant gratification of love, and I felt like it was a physical connection. And I did not realize that I was missing what love felt like. I was empty in my tank of love because I wasn't allowing the right kind of love to fill it. When the Lord called me back to a pure place, he knew then that he could fill me up, and I would be obedient to carry out the exact things that he had for me to do. If I was allowing myself to continue to operate in my own understanding, the Lord did not have my yes. I did not have fear of the Lord in my heart. I would have continued to do these things, and that was just constant planting spiritually of corruption. Spiritually, corruption was being planted in my heart because I was interlocking myself with men who also hadn't put God in their hearts first, who was under spiritual attack, therefore creating spiritual attack for me. And then there would have been a guard. It would have been a barrier, or it was a barrier between me and God. And he couldn't get to me the way he needed to. So he had to remove corruption out of me. He had to remove impurity. He said, I need you to be pure. I need you to know me for me to be able to do in you what I need to do. And so I pray more than anything that you will give the Lord your yes. I pray more than anything that fear of the Lord will set in your heart, and you will come to know the Lord for yourself in an extremely transformative way. We have desires, and it's fun, and it's easy, and I want to be with him, and I get it. I was that girl. I lived it. But nothing has felt, tasted, been better than the grace of the Lord on my life due to obedience. And I'm not saying that I've walked in obedience perfectly. I'm still pursuing that. But I'm saying that when the Lord knocks on my heart and he says something to me, I am all ears, because I know what he saved me from. And he saved me from myself for him. And that is the best gift I've ever received. And so I pray that you're able to say yes to the Lord and no to your flesh and experience purpose that will blow your mind because of your obedience, and you find purpose in your purity. I love you, girl. Bye. All right, girlies, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you liked what you heard today, please leave a comment and let me know what you liked or what you didn't like or what you want to know more of. I pray that this was great for you. I pray that you were able to take away something, but more than anything, I pray that you are obedient to the Lord, and I'm thankful that the Lord used me to get this message out to you. If you have any questions, don't feel afraid to leave a comment. I love you so much, and thank you for being cozy in the living room of my heart. Until next time.